Ty Gibbs took Kyle Busch's seat. Busch had 15 years at NASCAR's Joe Gibbs Racing, 2 titles, and 232 wins across 3 series. JGR replaced him with a 20-year-old whose grandfather owns the team. Everyone saw that and made up their mind immediately. But nobody talks about what Ty Gibbs had already done before he ever sat in that car, and that part changes the whole story. Here is the thing people forget. When Joe Gibbs Racing announced Ty Gibbs would replace Kyle Busch after the 2022 season, it was not celebrated. It was mocked, and that reaction made sense on the surface. Kyle Busch was a 2-time Cup Series champion. He had 63 Cup wins. He held the all-time record for wins across all 3 NASCAR National Series with 232 total victories. He was, by almost every measure, still in his prime at 37 years old, and JGR was pushing him out. But here is the part the critics ignored. JGR did not push Busch out because they wanted to. They pushed him out because their hand was forced. When Mars, the company behind M&M's, pulled its sponsorship after 2022, JGR lost the financial anchor that made Kyle Busch's contract possible. Talks broke down, and sitting right there, already on the JGR payroll, already winning races, was Joe Gibbs' own grandson. Busch said it himself. "When I don't have a sponsor and they have a grandkid waiting in the wings, I'm the odd man out." That quote is honest, but it only tells half the story. Before he ever touched a Cup car full-time, Ty Gibbs had already built a resume that most drivers never reach. In 2021, at 18 years old, he won his very first ARCA Menard Series start at Daytona. He went on to win 10 of 20 races that season and took the ARCA championship. Nobody had ever won a NASCAR National Series race in their very first start with 0 prior experience at any National Series level. In 2022, he moved to the Xfinity Series full-time. He won 11 races in 51 starts and took the championship at Phoenix. Yes, the same season where he spun out JGR teammate Brandon Jones at Martinsville to stay in title contention. That incident was real, it was ugly, and it cost the entire JGR organization a second entry in the championship race. Nobody is pretending it did not happen. But here is what matters. Gibbs spent the entire following week owning what he did. He apologized publicly. He called it selfish. He said he lacked big-picture awareness. And then he went to Phoenix and won the championship anyway. That combination, raw speed plus the ability to process failure fast, is exactly what JGR needed for the next chapter. His first 3 years in Cup were not clean. That is the truth. In 2023, he won Rookie of the Year, but his average finish told a different story. He struggled to crack top 10s consistently. He was regularly beaten by his JGR teammates Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin. His head-to-head record against teammates across his first 4 Cup seasons was 119 wins to 220 losses, a winning percentage of just 35%. And the noise around the nepotism argument never went away. It got louder in early 2026 when former JGR competition director Chris Gabehart filed his response to JGR's lawsuit. Gabehart claimed JGR had broken a promise to promote him into a major leadership role and instead pushed him back into crew chief duties for Ty Gibbs. That allegation put Gibbs' name right in the middle of a federal lawsuit over stolen trade secrets. Kyle Busch, who had his own bitter exit from JGR, was asked at COTA which side of the lawsuit he was not surprised by. His answer, take a guess. 3 words. That was all it took to reopen every wound from 2022. So heading into 2026, the question was real. Was Ty Gibbs actually the right call, or had JGR just been loyal to a last name? The answer started showing up in the data before Bristol ever happened. Crew chief Tyler Allen took full control of the number 54 team heading into 2026. The previous season, then competition director Gabehart had been calling strategy on race day in a de facto crew chief role, creating a split command structure that hurt the team's chemistry. That dynamic was gone, and Ty Gibbs showed up different. His average driver rating through 7 races in 2026 sat at 88.6, on track to crush his previous career best of 81.4 from 2024. His head-to-head record against JGR teammates flipped completely. 13 wins to 8 losses in 2026, a 61.9% winning rate. That is a 27-point jump from where he had been across his first 4 seasons combined. He finished 4th at COTA, 4th at Phoenix, 5th at Las Vegas, 6th at Darlington, 4th at Martinsville. 5 straight top 6 finishes, the longest streak of his career. Every week the car was better. Every week the communication between Gibbs and Allen was tighter. And every week Bristol was getting closer. Gibbs had 440 career laps led at Bristol before Sunday. That was his most of any track by a massive margin. His next closest was Charlotte with 80 laps led. He had 4 top 10 finishes there. He had a driver rating of 98.3 at Bristol in the next-gen era, 4th best among all active drivers. But none of that guaranteed anything. Kyle Larson led 284 of 500 laps on Sunday. Ryan Blaney led 190. Gibbs led just 25. The race came down to a lap 477 caution. Gibbs stayed out on old tires when Blaney and Larson pitted for fresh rubber. Crew chief Tyler Allen had already discussed that exact scenario with Gibbs before the final stage. When the call came, Gibbs did not hesitate. "I don't want to give up track position at all," Gibbs told Allen over the radio. Allen kept him out. Gibbs restarted in the lead on lap 486. 4 laps later, another caution. Green, white, checkered. Blaney on fresh tires was right on his bumper. For 2 laps, Gibbs held the outside line and refused to give it up. He crossed the finish line .055 seconds ahead of Blaney. That margin is thinner than most people's reaction time. It was the first time a new winner had broken through at Bristol since 2002. Gibbs was the 207th different driver to win a NASCAR Cup Series race, and it was the first time the number 54 car had visited victory lane in a Cup race since Lenny Pond in 1978 at Talladega. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch sits 24th in the 2026 point standings with 131 points. He is on a 94-race Cup Series losing streak. He failed to make the playoffs in both 2024 and 2025. RCR, the team he joined after leaving JGR, has been overtaken by nearly every top organization in the sport. Busch said it himself after Daytona this year. "If you're not with a Gibbs team or a Hendrick team or a Penske team, it doesn't seem like many other teams win races." That quote stings differently now, because Busch is not with any of those teams, and the seat he left at JGR just produced a Bristol winner. This is not about burying Kyle Busch. His 232 career wins across 3 series are real. His 2015 and 2019 championships are real. His Hall of Fame case is real. But the narrative that JGR made a mistake in 2022 by replacing him with a 20-year-old grandson. Bristol just put that argument in the ground. Remember what this video promised you. Was Ty Gibbs always the right replacement for Kyle Busch? Here is the answer: yes. Not because of the last name, not because of the family seat, because the talent was real from the start, the growth was measurable, and at Bristol on April 12, 2026, the results became undeniable.